Hope you're staying healthy and safe. Uh, this chapter basically looks at operational excellence and customer intimacy, how to achieve the operational excellence and customer intimacy. And we're going to use what are called enterprise applications. When you talk about an enterprise basically is not only the company, but also its subsidiaries, as well as everything that are attached to them. For instance, when you talk about the enterprise systems for Ford, so it's not only the company Ford, but also the dealerships that are with Ford, all the functions that are in Ford, the various subsidiaries of Ford, so on and so forth. And that is the enterprise. And enterprise systems basically are systems that work inside the enterprise, but also it culminates everything which is in the enterprise. It puts all the systems together in an enterprise. And usually, when companies have these kind of enterprise systems, they implement it for all their subsidiaries and all their companies and throughout their companies. Okay, so one such system is called enterprise resource planning. That's called ERP. Usually, enterprise resource planning systems come with one single database that can be shared by everybody and all the functions and all the subsidiaries and things like that. So that it can be in a real time way of making the whole company work together. Basically, it's a suite of integrated software, and these softwares come in various modules with a common central database. It collects the data from all the divisions and works to put the internal processes of the companies together. So, information entered in one process, like sales, is immediately available for other process like manufacturing, so on and so forth. And let's talk a little more about this ERP systems, how it works. So basically, ERP systems have a centralized database, and this centralized database is for finance and accounting, human resources, manufacturing, production, sales, marketing, HR, which we talked about, and as well as MIS and strategy and engineering and so on and purchasing and so on and so forth. So basically, if a salesman actually brings an order, it is put into the centralized database, which basically can be seen by the production and manufacturing saying, hey, we need to produce 10 more widgets or 100 more widgets. And then HR can say, hey, to make those 100 widgets or 10 widgets, I need to have so many people. And the finance and accounting will say, hey, do we have enough money to make this? Or do we need to go and borrow money? So on and so forth. Or we need to go into working capital, raise working capital, those kind of things. That is how the enterprise systems work. So they all work together. There are two systems, two big companies that are in this market right now. One is called SAP, which is a Germany-based company. Another one is Oracle, which is basically in the San Francisco area. These two companies, SAP and Oracle, they pretty much have these two enterprise systems, their own enterprise systems, which are pretty much used by almost all companies in the world. Actually, SAP pretty much has, I would say, about 65 to 70% of the market. So almost every company in the world uses SAP. Enterprise software basically has got business processes, which basically means the best practices of finance, accounting, human resources, manufacturing, production, and all those functions. The business processes are inbuilt in them, and you can actually change them because processes are different from one company to another company, right? So you can change them as well. To implement these kind of enterprise software, firms select what functions they want to use. So some companies will say, hey, I want only the accounting or finance. Some companies will say, I want accounting, finance, and sales and marketing, as well as manufacturing. Some companies will say, I want accounting and finance, and sales and marketing and customer service. But one thing you can see is that the accounting and finance is central. That is the basic idea of enterprise software. The accounting and software finance systems are pretty much in the system, and that is the basis of the system. Okay. So there are a lot of business values of enterprise systems. First one is it increases operational efficiency. How? If I have a sales order which is put, automatically it floods through the entire functions and everybody knows about it. Before this, long back, the sales guys will come out with an order, and then that is sent as an email. Somebody will take a look at it. Somebody will say, I want to see the details. Or somebody will give you some more details. Somebody will get less detail, those kind of things. Here, everybody gets the sales orders immediately and all the details along with it. So it provides a firm-wide information so that the firms can make very good decisions. It also enables rapid responses to customer requests for any kind of products or information and so on and so forth. And most of these enterprise systems come with analytical tools as well to evaluate and for performance and improve decision making. So the top ERP vendors you can see, as we talked about, are the Oracle and SAP. And there are smaller ones. Microsoft has its thing called Dynamics. There is another software called Infor by a company called Infor. Then there's also an Epicor. There's a company called Epicor. So all these companies have made these ERPs, and many of them are smaller in size, like these three, whereas these two are the big ones. That means big corporations, Fortune 500 companies, even Fortune 5,000 companies go for Oracle and SAP. The next thing we want to talk about in the enterprise systems is what is called supply chain. Supply chain basically has got all the suppliers and the customers and everything together. That is a supply chain. For instance, if I want to, if a company makes a pen, let's say a pen, a simple pen, okay, they need few things. They need basically let's say the ink, right, and then the body, the pen itself. The body basically is bought as from a plastics company, and also maybe glue. I'm just making it really simple. And the ink company comes from another company where they make ink. So you have a plastics company, a glue company. These two supply to make the body. And this body producer sells the body to the pen manufacturer. And also the ink people sell their ink to the pen manufacturers. The pen manufacturers basically puts the body and the inks together, and then they sell it, let's say, to Staples. And Roosevelt University buys it from Staples so that you and I can use it. The user can use it. Okay. So the supply chain basically starts from this glue manufacturer and plastic manufacturers all the way to us who we use. That is the entire supply chain. So in this supply chain, you have upstream. This is anything which is upstream, and this is anything which is downstream. Okay. Anything which is downstream is this. And this is the operations part of it, or the company which assembles these pens and things like that. So basically the supply chain starts from here and goes all the way to this end of the customer, the end user. So you have the supplier, the company which makes it, and then the end users. This whole thing is a supply chain. So let's look at Nike. For instance, Nike's supply chain has, on the upstream, they have a distributor and a retailer and a customer. So the customer buys it from a retailer, like, yeah, any shop in the mall, and then which is with any shop in the mall gets the Nike product from a distributor. That Nike has its own distributorship, and then Nike makes these shoes. When the Nike makes these shoes from various suppliers, the two contract suppliers, who in turn has got other companies who are going to give them their supplies, who in turn has other things as well. So this is the upstream of the supply chain, and this is the downstream of the supply chain. Here in the upstream, you have tier 1 suppliers, tier 2 suppliers, and tier 3 suppliers. The tier 1 is these people, tier 2 is these people, and tier 3 is these people. In the downstream, you have basically the distributors, the retailers, and the customers. Okay. Supply chain management is very beneficial to companies because basically you need to have all the suppliers who are giving you all the supplies so that you can make something, and then you have customers where you can sell and make profits. Okay. The problem with the supply chain is that any inefficiency in this whole supply chain, right from the beginning, the tier 3, tier 4 suppliers, to all the way to the customer, if there is any inefficiency anywhere, it cuts into the company's operating costs. Okay, it can waste up to 25% of operating expenses, but this is just an estimate. It can be more. Supply chain management thinks about one thing called just-in-time strategy. Basically, what happens is this. Let's say I have making bicycles. When I'm assembling bicycles, I put everything together and I come to a place where I have to put tires, right? I need to install the tires. At that time, or the wheels and the tires, at that time only I need the wheels and the tires. Till then, I really don't need them. So as I am assembling these cycles, when I come to the process where I need to add the wheels and the tires, then only I need the wheels and tires. That is the just in time. I need to get these wheels and tires just in time so that I can start putting these wheels and tires together. Till then, I don't need it. So I don't need an inventory or a back inventory. I just need only enough inventory so that when I come to that process, then I need that. So after I'm done with that, I'm going to replenish these wheels and brake, 2 wheels and 2 brake, 2 wheels and 2 tires. Okay, just at that time. Safety stock is a buffer stock. That means it's like you're buying milk in your house, and you want, let's say, 1 gallon. You consume 1 gallon. But then you never know, you say, well, sometimes I may have a little more. So you go and buy 2 gallons. And that 1 extra gallon is the safety stock. It is a buffer for if there is a problem in the supply chain, then you have the 2nd gallon of milk. Okay. Bullwhip effect is when the demand gets distorted, then you have the demand gets distorted, then you have a variability in demand. For instance, let's say you have over time you want gallons of milk. So you say 1 gallon, maybe 2 gallons, and then next time you don't drink all that, so you're not buying anything, then you're going to buy some more, maybe 2.5 gallons, because you're expecting